The war had started in the most unexpected way. It wasn't like any war the people had seen before. This wasn't about nations or borders. It wasn't about old grudges or power struggles. It was about survival. Survival, not just for humans, but for something far more powerful. Eliot Matthews had never wanted anything to do with wars. A simple man, working in a small diner on the edge of town, he thought the only battles he faced were the occasional busy shift or dealing with the odd customer complaint. Life was simple, life was normal, or so he thought. His biggest worry on a typical day was serving enough coffee to keep the regulars coming back. But everything changed the night the aliens arrived. They were nothing like he imagined. Not the big ships hovering above cities or the monstrous creatures depicted in movies. No, they were beautiful, terrifying, and wild. They came with fury in their eyes and powers that defied nature. They were the Zalith's alien warriors, and they were here for something far more dangerous than conquest. Eliot had seen a few strange things in his life, but when the first Zalith dropped from the sky, landing in a fiery burst near the diner, he didn't know what to think. His first instinct was to run, but something stopped him. The creature that emerged from the flames wasn't like the ones in the videos on TV. It wasn't a towering monster. Instead, she looked human. Her skin had a strange orange glow, and her eyes, golden and fierce, stared directly at Eliot. Her ears were large and pointed like a fox, and her hair was a mix of fiery red and gold that seemed to shimmer in the dim light of the diner. She was beautiful, but there was no mistaking the dangerous energy that surrounded her. She wasn't alone. Behind her, several more of the creatures appeared, all of them standing tall and imposing, with weapons unlike anything Eliot had ever seen before. Are you the ones who are causing all this? Eliot stammered, glancing nervously between them. The woman, the one with the fox ears, didn't speak at first. She just looked at him, her golden eyes flicking down to the burger he had been holding just moments before. It wasn't much, but it was the only thing he had. Without thinking, he reached out and handed it to her. It was a nervous gesture. He had no idea what to do, but it felt like the right thing at the moment. Her eyes softened for a brief moment, and then she took the burger, inspecting it carefully. A strange look crossed her face, something between confusion and amusement. Then, she did the last thing Eliot expected. She took a bite. The Zalith woman chewed slowly, her eyes locked on him the entire time. When she finished, she set the burger down and straightened up, the air around her crackling with energy. Double quotes this. Food, she said, her voice deep yet smooth. It tastes good. It tastes ... like what I needed. You will be my mate, human. Eliot was frozen in shock. His mouth went dry as the word mate echoed in his mind. He didn't understand. Mates? What did she mean by that? Before he could respond, the group of Zaliths behind her advanced. The woman raised a hand, stopping them. Do not harm him, she said. He is mine. Eliot's heart raced. This wasn't how he imagined his life ending, standing in a diner with aliens deciding his fate. But as the seconds ticked by, one thing became clear. He had somehow become part of something much bigger than himself. Something he didn't understand. And the war? The war was just beginning. The Zaliths didn't come to Earth to conquer. No. They had come for something far more personal, something that only Eliot could offer. And so, the strange and unexpected war began. The war between Eliot and the Zaliths, a war of survival, of connection, and of the unknown. But little did Eliot know, he had just made a decision that would change his life forever. Eliot stood there, his mind racing, unable to process what had just happened. The woman with the fox-like features, the one who had taken a bite from his burger and claimed him as her mate, was still staring at him. Her golden eyes glowed softly in the dim light of the diner, but it was the force behind them that left him uneasy. You're joking, right? Eliot stammered, hoping his words would somehow make the situation feel less surreal. He had just handed a stranger an alien, no less a burger, and now she was telling him they were mates. His brain simply couldn't catch up with the magnitude of what was happening. The alien woman didn't smile, nor did she show any sign of amusement. She stood there, her stance firm, her gaze unwavering. Her fellow Zayliths remained in the background, watching him silently, their expressions unreadable. It was only her presence that filled the room with an eerie quiet, a power that seemed to hum in the air. "I do not joke, human," she replied, her voice low but clear. "I have tasted your offering, and it is enough. You are now my mate. And, as such, you will serve me in this war." Her words left Eliot even more confused. "Serve you? What war are you talking about? What do you mean by mate? I just handed you a burger." He couldn't keep his voice from rising, his frustration bubbling over. The woman stepped forward, her golden eyes never leaving his. She was close now, so close he could feel the heat emanating from her. "You do not understand," she said softly. "The Zayliths are not conquerors. We do not seek to destroy worlds. We seek to find our true partners, our mates, those whose essence matches ours." She paused, her gaze softening for a brief moment. "You have fed me, and in doing so, you have shown me your strength and your heart. That is all it takes. From this moment forward, we are bound." Eliot shook his head, trying to make sense of it all. This is insane. I don't even know you. How can you just claim me like this? I'm just a guy who works at a diner." The woman reached out slowly, her hand brushing against his chest. "You may not understand now, but you will. The Zayliths do not just take anyone as mates. We have chosen you, Eliot Matthews." The mention of his name made his blood run cold. How did she know that? Before he could ask, she continued, her voice quieter but no less intense. "The war I speak of is one that has raged for centuries. It is a war of survival, a battle for the very future of our species. The Zayliths are losing. We are scattered, our forces weakened, and we need more than just strength. We need those who can help us, those who are willing to fight beside us." Eliot didn't know what to say. Everything about this situation was wrong. This wasn't how he imagined his life, not by a long shot. But as he looked into her eyes, he saw something he couldn't ignore: an urgency, a desperation. "You want me to help you fight?" Eliot asked, his voice barely above a whisper. He couldn't believe he was even entertaining the idea, but something about the way she spoke made him wonder if refusing was even an option. The Zaylith woman nodded. "I need you. And together we can defeat those who threaten our people." Eliot's mind raced as he processed her words. He had no training, no combat experience. What could he possibly do to help her and her kind? But there was something in her gaze, a silent plea. Something that tugged at him, something deep inside him that made him feel like he couldn't walk away. "I'm just a regular guy," he said, still trying to make sense of it all. "What good am I to you in a war?" "You will be more than enough," she said, her voice taking on a new, confident tone. "It is not only strength that we need, it is unity. You are the key to our survival." A chill ran down Eliot's spine. He had been thrust into something much bigger than he had ever imagined. A war between alien species, a bond that was now forged between him and this powerful, beautiful being who had chosen him for reasons he didn't fully understand. And yet, as strange as it all seemed, he felt a strange sense of connection to her. His heart hammered in his chest, but there was something else too, a warmth, a trust, a feeling that perhaps he wasn't so alone in this universe after all. But just as the confusion started to settle, the door to the diner suddenly burst open. More Zaylith warriors rushed in, their weapons drawn and their eyes scanning the room. The woman, his mate, turned toward them with an expression of calm authority. "The time for talking is over. she said, her voice carrying across the room. Prepare for the next phase. We are leaving. Eliot's heart pounded. He had no choice but to follow. As the Zaliths moved, he felt a pull in his chest, a connection to the alien woman that was impossible to deny. And just like that, Eliot's life had been completely changed. He was no longer just a diner worker. He was now part of a much larger story, one that would take him to the farthest corners of the galaxy. A journey of danger, survival, and an unbreakable bond that was already forming between him and the alien woman who had claimed him as her mate. But Eliot couldn't shake the question that lingered in his mind. What had he gotten himself into? And more importantly, what would happen when he found out the true nature of the war the Zaliths were fighting? Eliot's world had shifted in ways he couldn't begin to understand. He was no longer just a regular guy, working in a diner and dreaming of a simple life. No, now he was part of something much larger, something far more dangerous and complex. As the Zalith woman, his so-called mate, led him through the darkened streets of the city, Eliot couldn't help but feel a sense of dread building in his chest. The alien warriors moved with precision, their eyes scanning the shadows, alert to any threats that might be lurking. The woman, whose name still eluded him, walked ahead of him with confidence, her fur shimmering in the dim light as her ears twitched at every sound. She seemed to know exactly where they were going, but for Eliot, it was all too much to take in at once. "Where are we going?" he asked, trying to steady his breath. The woman glanced over her shoulder at him, her golden eyes piercing through the darkness. "You will learn soon enough, Eliot, but right now, we must move quickly. There are many who wish to stop us from reaching our destination." "Stop us?" Eliot repeated, feeling a knot tighten in his stomach. "Why? What are you really fighting for?" She didn't answer him immediately. Instead, she turned her attention back to the path ahead. The Zalith warriors flanked them, maintaining a strict formation, while Eliot tried to make sense of everything that had happened so far. What was this war? Why had the Zaliths chosen him? For the first time since their encounter, the woman spoke again. "It is not just about survival, Eliot. The Zaliths have been at war for centuries. Not with your kind, but with another alien race, the Zarn. They are ruthless, and they will stop at nothing to wipe us out. But there is more. Something much more dangerous than just a war for power." Eliot felt his head spin. Another alien race? The Zarn? This was beyond anything he could have imagined. He had barely understood what was happening to him, let alone the full scale of the conflict he was now a part of. "More dangerous?" Eliot asked, his voice faltering. "What do you mean?" The woman stopped suddenly, causing the others to halt as well. Eliot felt his heart race as she turned to face him. She was close now, close enough that he could feel the warmth of her presence. "There is something the Zarn want," she said, her voice low and serious. "Something they've been searching for. And it is something that only the Zaliths have the key to. It's not just a weapon or a source of power, it's something far older, far more ancient." Eliot's eyes widened. "What is it?" She hesitated for a moment, as if debating whether or not to tell him. Then finally she spoke. "The Zarn are after the heart of the stars." "The heart of the stars?" Eliot echoed, his mind struggling to comprehend the enormity of what she was saying. "What's that? Some kind of artifact?" The woman nodded slowly. "It is no ordinary artifact. It is a living, breathing entity that resides within the very fabric of the universe. It is the source of life and creation itself, the thing that binds everything together. And the Zarn, they wish to control it, to use its power to reshape the universe according to their will." Eliot felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard of legend stories passed down through cultures, myths about ancient beings and powerful artifacts, but this sounded like something out of a science fiction novel, not his reality. "The Zaliths have protected the heart for millennia," the woman continued, her voice tense. "But now the Zarn are closer than ever. They've discovered the location of the heart, and they will stop at nothing to take it from us. If they succeed, the universe will be forever changed. And not for the better." Eliot was silent, trying to process everything. The fate of the universe? Was it really possible that such an ancient and powerful entity existed? And what did any of this have to do with him? He had never asked for any of this. Why me? He asked quietly, still struggling to understand why he was involved in all of this. "Why did you choose me as your mate?" The woman's golden eyes softened, and for the first time since they'd met, there was a trace of something gentle in her gaze. "Because you have a connection to the heart of the stars. You are more than just a human. Eliot, you are the key to finding it before the Zarn do." "The key?" Eliot repeated. "But I don't know anything about this heart. I don't even know why you're calling me your mate." She stepped closer to him, her expression serious yet almost tender. "You will understand soon. The heart calls to you, Eliot. It is a bond that was forged long ago, before the war began. You are not just a random person caught in the middle of this conflict. You were chosen for a reason." Eliot was about to speak, but before he could ask more questions, the Zalith warriors suddenly tensed, their weapons raised. The woman motioned for him to stay behind her, and Eliot quickly followed her lead, trying to remain calm. Through the dark streets, a shadow moved. Someone was approaching. Then, a figure emerged from the shadows. A figure that made Eliot's heart race even faster. It was another Zalith, but different from the others. This one had markings on his face, dark and ominous, and his eyes red like fire locked onto Eliot with a burning intensity. "The heart of the stars is close, isn't it?" the newcomer said, his voice cold and mocking. "You think you can stop the Zarn? You're a fool, just like the rest of your people." The woman stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. "You've betrayed your kind, Zalrith. You've joined the Zarn, haven't you?" Zalrith grinned, revealing sharp, predatory teeth. "You'll see soon enough. The heart doesn't belong to the Zaliths anymore. It will belong to the Zarn, and there's nothing you can do to stop us." Eliot's heart pounded in his chest. Betrayal. A former ally turned enemy. The stakes were rising, and Eliot realized that this war was about more than just survival. It was about the future of everything. And now it seemed he had no choice but to follow the woman who had claimed him, to find the heart of the stars before it was too late. Eliot's mind was reeling. Betrayal, the heart of the stars, the Zarn. Everything was happening so fast, and he was in the middle of it, completely unprepared. The woman, the Zalith who had claimed him as her mate, stepped forward, her gaze fixed on the new arrival, Zalrith, who had just revealed himself as a traitor. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Zalrith's smile, twisted and sinister, sent a cold chill down Eliot's spine. He didn't know who he could trust anymore, and the weight of everything that had happened pressed down on him like an unbearable burden. "You're too late, Zalith," Zalrith said, his voice laced with malice. "The Zarn already know where the heart is, and when we find it, everything you've fought for will be meaningless." "Not if I can help it," the woman, his so-called mate, retorted, her voice sharp and commanding. "The heart doesn't belong to you, Zalrith. You've betrayed your people. You're nothing but a puppet for the Zarn." Zalrith laughed, a cruel, hollow sound that echoed through the dark alley. "You still don't get it, do you? The heart will choose its true master, and it's not you." Before Eliot could process what was happening, the air seemed to shimmer with an energy that was almost tangible. The Zalith warriors around them stiffened, preparing for a fight, but the woman held up a hand, signaling them to wait. She turned to Eliot, her eyes softening for the first time since their meeting. "We need to leave," she said, her voice urgent. "Now." Eliot nodded, though he didn't fully understand what was going on. His head was spinning with everything he had Just learned. He had been thrust into a war between alien species, and now it seemed the heart of the stars was the key to everything. It wasn't just an artifact. It was alive, and it held unimaginable power. The fate of the universe of everyone was tied to it. The woman, still holding her ground against Zalrith, motioned for Eliot to follow her. Without another word, they turned and sprinted down the alley, their footsteps echoing in the night. Eliot barely kept up, his heart pounding in his chest. "You're still not telling me everything," he said, struggling to catch his breath. "What's the heart? Why am I involved?" The woman didn't answer right away. She only glanced at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of concern and determination. "I will tell you everything, Eliot, but not yet. Not until we are safe. There are forces that want the heart, and we cannot afford to be caught off guard." Eliot wanted to protest, to demand answers now, but he knew better than to argue. The look in her eyes told him that this was bigger than anything he could have imagined. He had no choice but to trust her. The chase continued through the narrow streets, the city around them growing darker and more silent as they moved deeper into the unknown. Eliot kept his eyes on the woman ahead of him, trying to make sense of it all. Why had she chosen him? Why had the heart of the stars chosen him? He had no powers, no special abilities. He was just a guy from a small town, working at a diner, but as they turned a corner and entered a hidden passageway, Eliot felt the change in the air. The world seemed to shift, and for the first time since everything had started, he felt something deep inside him stir. It was as if the universe itself was speaking to him, guiding him towards something. "You're feeling it, aren't you?" the woman asked, her voice quieter now. Eliot nodded slowly. "Yeah, it's like something's calling to me." The woman stopped in her tracks, turning to face him. "The heart is awakening," she said, her voice low and filled with awe. "It is drawing you closer. We are close, Eliot, so close." Eliot stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. He didn't understand how he could feel this connection to something he had never even seen, but there was no mistaking the pull, the magnetic force drawing him in. "We're almost there," the woman said, her eyes now shining with purpose. "But there's one more thing you need to know. The Zarn are not the only ones after the heart. There is another someone much more dangerous than Zalrith." "Who?" Eliot asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Who's more dangerous than them?" "The heart has its own guardians," she explained. "They are ancient beings, older than any race in the galaxy. They've protected the heart for millennia. But now they are waking, and they will do anything to stop anyone from reaching it, even us." Eliot's stomach twisted. Guardians? Ancient beings? This was too much to take in. He had barely understood the war between the Zaliths and the Zarn, and now there were these mysterious guardians standing in the way. "We have to be ready," the woman said, her voice growing more serious. "The Zarn will not stop, and neither will the guardians. We must find the heart before they do, or everything will be lost." As the woman turned and began to move again, Eliot couldn't shake the feeling that they were racing against something far more ancient and powerful than the Zaliths, the Zarn, or even the Guardians. There was something else, something lurking in the shadows, something that had been waiting for him to come, and he was about to discover that the war was much bigger than he had ever imagined. Eliot's footsteps echoed through the dark corridors as he followed the woman, whose form moved with grace and purpose in front of him. The hidden passage they were navigating was narrow, twisting, and had an unsettling coldness to it, as though it had not been used for centuries. The walls were lined with strange symbols, alien writings, perhaps, but Eliot couldn't make sense of them. His mind was consumed with 1,000 questions, yet he remained silent, trusting the woman to lead him to whatever it was they were after. She had promised to explain everything once they were safe, but Eliot felt the weight of his own uncertainty growing heavier with every passing step. He had no idea what was truly at stake here. and the knowledge that the fate of the universe was tied to the heart of the stars seemed both absurd and terrifying. They moved deeper into the heart of the ancient structure, and Eliot could feel the shift in the atmosphere. The air was charged with an energy that felt almost alive, as though the place itself was aware of their presence. "How close are we?" Eliot asked, trying to break the silence. "Very close," she replied, without turning back. Her voice was calm but tense, as if she too could feel the weight of what was about to happen. "The heart is not far now. But we must be careful. The Guardians are near." Eliot swallowed hard. Guardians. His mind raced back to what she had told him earlier, ancient beings who had protected the heart for millennia. If they were as powerful as she had suggested, then the stakes had just risen to an unimaginable level. "Guardians?" Eliot asked, trying to make sense of it all. "What kind of beings are they? What do they want with the heart?" The woman stopped for a moment, her golden eyes glinting as she looked back at him. "The Guardians are not like the Zarn. They are not interested in power or domination. They are protectors, keepers of the heart. They are ancient, powerful, and ruthless in their duty to keep the heart from falling into the wrong hands." She paused, as if searching for the right words. "The Zarn would destroy everything to control the heart, but the Guardians, they will do anything to stop us from using it. They believe the heart is too powerful for anyone to wield." Eliot's mind was spinning, his thoughts tumbling over one another. The Zarn, the Guardians, the heart of the stars, it was all too much for him to wrap his head around. How could he, a simple human, have gotten involved in something so enormous? But as the woman began to walk again, Eliot felt the pull growing stronger. The heart was calling to him, and for some reason, he felt it, deep within him. It wasn't just a physical sensation, it was something more. It was as if his soul recognized the heart, and he was being drawn toward it. They rounded a corner, and Eliot's breath caught in his throat. Before them stood a massive door, covered in the same strange symbols that lined the walls. The door looked ancient, but it was still intact, as though it had been waiting for them. "This is it," the woman said, her voice low with awe. "The heart is behind this door. But we are not alone." Eliot's heart skipped a beat. He glanced at the woman, then back at the door. There was a quiet stillness in the air, and for a moment, it felt as though time had frozen. Then, he heard it, a soft hum, like a low vibration that seemed to resonate with his very bones. The woman stepped forward, reaching out to touch the door. As her fingers made contact with the surface, the symbols began to glow, illuminating the passageway in a soft ethereal light. Eliot could feel the energy in the room intensify, and he instinctively took a step back, his pulse quickening. "This is the moment," the woman said. "The heart is awakening. It knows you are here, Eliot." Before Eliot could respond, the ground beneath them trembled. A loud, low growl echoed from the depths of the chamber beyond the door. The woman's expression darkened, and she quickly pulled Eliot closer to her. "The Guardians are coming," she whispered urgently. "We have no time. You must prepare yourself." Eliot's heart raced as he tried to comprehend what was happening. The Guardians were not far behind. He had no weapons, no combat training. He was just a guy who had happened to get caught in a war between alien species. But something inside him, something deep within him, was stirring. The heart was drawing him in, and it felt like it was awakening something inside him too. "Eliot," the woman said, her voice steady despite the urgency of the situation. "When we open this door, you must be ready. The Guardians will try to stop us, but you must be strong. You are the key to everything." Eliot looked at her, his heart pounding in his chest. "What do you mean? What am I supposed to do?" She smiled faintly, her golden eyes glowing with something like determination and hope. "You are more than just a human. You are the one who can unlock the heart's power. You are the one it has chosen." The hum grew louder, and Eliot could feel the pressure in the air intensifying. Something was about to happen. Something that would change everything. The woman took a deep breath, then placed her hand firmly on the door. A bright flash of light erupted, and Eliot had to shield his eyes from the sudden brightness. The door groaned, and with a loud crack, it began to open. Behind the door was a chamber unlike anything Eliot had ever seen. The walls were covered in ancient carvings, and at the center of the room was a pedestal, upon which rested a glowing, pulsating object, the heart of the stars. But as Eliot stepped forward, a shadow fell over the chamber. The Guardians had arrived. They were massive beings, their forms obscured by the darkness. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light, and their bodies shimmered with energy. There was no doubt in Eliot's mind. They were not going to let him take the heart. And as the first of the Guardians stepped into the light, Eliot realized that the true test was only just beginning. The war for the heart had reached its peak, and he was caught right in the middle. The Guardians were unlike anything Eliot had ever seen. Towering over him, their forms seemed to blur, as though they were made of energy and light, not flesh and bone. Their eyes glowed with an unearthly intensity, and their presence filled the room with an oppressive, heavy aura. The air felt thick with power, as if the very fabric of reality was bending under their weight. Eliot stood frozen in place, staring at them. The woman, the Zalith who had claimed him as her mate, was beside him, her golden eyes narrowed in concentration. She didn't flinch, but he could see the tension in her stance. She too knew what was at stake. The first Guardian stepped forward, its body shimmering with a radiant energy that made the walls pulse. It spoke, its voice a deep, resonating sound that seemed to echo in Eliot's very bones. "You are the one," the Guardian said, its gaze locking onto him. "The heart has chosen you, but you are not ready. No one is. The heart is not to be wielded by mortal hands." Eliot swallowed hard, trying to steady his breath. His heart was pounding in his chest, each beat echoing in his ears. The woman had told him the Guardians would stop them, but he hadn't truly believed it until now. They were real. They were powerful. And they were not going to let him take the heart without a fight. "You've been protecting the heart for millennia," the woman said, her voice calm but full of determination. "But the time has come. The Zarn are already on their way, and if we don't act now, everything will be lost. The heart must be used or the universe will fall to darkness." The Guardian's glowing eyes flickered for a moment, and a low rumble filled the air. "You speak of the Zarn as though they are the only threat. The heart cannot be allowed to fall into anyone's hands. Its power is not meant to be wielded. It is too great, too dangerous." Eliot took a step forward, his voice shaking but resolute. "Then why was I chosen? Why is it calling to me?" The Guardian's eyes locked onto his, and for a moment, it was as if the whole world stood still. "Because you are not like the others. You are not just a human. The heart has seen something within you, something that makes you worthy to carry its power. But it is a burden, Eliot Matthews. The heart does not give its power freely. It takes, and once you accept it, there is no turning back." The weight of the words hit Eliot like a punch to the stomach. He had no idea what the heart truly was, only that it had chosen him. But now, standing before these Guardians, he realized just how much he didn't understand. He had no control over what was happening. The heart had called to him, but was it really something he could handle? Could he wield such power without it destroying him? The woman beside him turned to face him, her golden eyes searching his. "You have a choice, Eliot. You can walk away now, leave this place, and forget about all of this. The heart will remain here, protected by the Guardians, hidden from those who would abuse it. The war will continue, and the Zarn will one day destroy us all, but you will be safe." Eliot's heart thudded in his chest. Part of him wanted to walk away, to escape this madness and go back to the life he knew, the simple life of working at a diner, free from the weight of the universe on his shoulders. But then, As he glanced at the glowing heart of the stars, he felt that familiar pull again. It wasn't just a physical sensation. It was something deeper, something primal. The heart had chosen him, and it was calling him, urging him to take the next step. "I can't walk away," Eliot said, his voice steady now, though his hands were shaking. "I can't just leave and let everything fall apart. I have to do this." The woman's expression softened, and for the first time, Eliot saw something that wasn't just determination in her eyes. It was understanding. She had known from the beginning that this was the only choice. But it didn't make it any easier. "The heart won't make this easy for you," she warned. "Once you accept it, once you bond with it, there's no going back. It will change you." Eliot nodded, a fire igniting within him. "I'm ready." The guardians stepped back, their forms shimmering as they faded into the shadows. The room seemed to grow colder, the energy in the air pulsing with an almost tangible force. The woman reached out, her hand brushing against Eliot's arm, her touch warm and reassuring. "The time has come," she said softly. "Take the heart, Eliot. But know this, it is not just power. It is responsibility. And the burden will be yours to carry." Eliot approached the pedestal slowly, his heart beating loudly in his chest. The heart of the stars pulsed with light, its surface glowing with an inner radiance that seemed to beckon him. He took a deep breath, his fingers trembling as he reached out and placed his hand on the heart. The moment his skin touched it, a surge of energy coursed through him. It was like nothing he had ever felt before. It was as though the universe itself had connected with him, as though he was now one with everything, stars, galaxies, and the very fabric of time and space. The power was overwhelming, almost too much to bear, but at the same time, it felt right. It felt like he was meant for this moment, like everything that had happened in his life had led him to this exact point. The woman stepped forward, her eyes wide with awe. "You are the one," she whispered. "The heart has chosen you." Eliot closed his eyes, allowing the power to flow through him, accepting the responsibility that came with it. The universe had changed in an instant. The burden of the heart was now his to carry, and he could feel the weight of it pressing on him. But with it, there was also a strange sense of peace, of purpose. He wasn't just Eliot Matthews anymore. He was something more. And as he opened his eyes, he looked at the woman beside him, the one who had claimed him, the one who had led him here, and realized that his journey was only just beginning. War was not over. It had only just begun. But now, with the heart of the stars at his side, Eliot was ready to face whatever came next.